If Trump is arrested, how do you think his supporters will react? My boss will respond by ranting and then follow up with continuing not knowing how to rotate a PDF. Probably surprised. Considering the number of times people claimed he'd be arrested and he wasn't. I'd be surprised too. His mugshot will be the dankiest meme of all time. This was his plan all along, it's part of 100-dimensional chess, it's all so that the other guy can get really arrested. People don't realize how anticlimactic it will be. Trump and others and making a big show saying the FBI is going to bust down his door at Mar-a-Lago and drag him away in handcuffs. That won't happen. The DA will contact his lawyers to let them know they have issued an arrest warrant and they will schedule a date for Trump to turn himself in. He goes to the police on that, he's fingerprinted, mug shot taken and processed. He'll then be arraigned and released on his own recognizance. All this will be worked out beforehand by his lawyers and the DA. He might fight extradition in Florida and possibly win with the right judge. But then he will be arrested whenever he goes back to NYC, which he has to at some time. Even once he's arraigned, it will take years for the case to go anywhere. Case in point, Ken Paxton has been awaiting trial for years. This is just home making noise for his constituents. Not sure, but I feel like we'll finally get a true understanding of what the battery life on a rascal scooter is. I expect to hear several mentions of Hunter Biden's laptop. Lots of social media posts with excellent punctuation and factual information. There will be bloodshed in the streets. The heavens will open and fire will rain from the sky. Entire civilizations will be destroyed. The world will be plunged into darkness. People will resort to cannibalism. Demons will emerge from the depths of hell and consume our children. Brendan Fraser will get his Oscar revoked. It will be chaos and madness. I expect them to let the judicial process play out and hold off on any highly emotional response until the case has concluded and prosecutors have had an opportunity to explain their side of the story. After all, Trump supporters are famous for being calm, well-informed, and level-headed. They'll whine on social media and wait for Fox to build them a counter-narrative they can run with. They'll blame wokeness and the usual targets. Then they'll claim exoneration when he's released on his own recognizance in a few days. The only interesting question is what DeSantis will do. If he muddies Trump's extradition from Florida, he could get in trouble with the feds. If he lets the Manhattan take him, then he risks the wrath of MAGA. They will blame everyone except the guilty party. Loudly and ineffectively. It's baffling that he still has supporters tbh. How many people cared about George W. Bush after he left office? I miss the days when the president left office and we all forgot about them. His simps are still hanging on, it's sad. Americans, what do Europeans have every day that you see as a luxury? This is only really true for Southern Europe. But cheap wine by the glass, cheap coffee, and pastries. Cafes in the US are marketed as very trendy, and if you want a pastry and a coffee you should be ready to pay like $8 to $10. In most of Italy, Portugal, and Spain you can get coffee and a croissant for like €3. 6 weeks vacation, extra pay just for vacation, at least in Germany, government healthcare. Vacation. Time. I spent time abroad in Italy for school and there was just so much less of a rush everywhere. Oftentimes the latest person to my classes we were professors. Everyone really took their time and I didn't really feel the bustle of constantly going somewhere when I was there. I mean, dang, the village my apartment was located shut down for a few hours in the afternoon so the shopkeepers could go have lunch. It was wild. Guaranteed 4+ weeks of vacation. And the fact that they are encouraged to take the vacation instead of being made to feel that it's a burden to the employer that you go on vacation. Affordable university. As our daughter is going to university in Scotland. Our US friends always respond with shock at the luxury of going overseas for school until I tell them it's 1/2 the cost of an equivalent US college. That includes travel expenses. Readily available and reliable public transportation. Local bakeries with wonderful fair-priced food readily available on their walking commute. 2+ weeks long vacations. I've had to reach to our contact at HQ in Europe for support and have legit been told to ask someone else because he was going to Switzerland skiing for 3 weeks on holiday. But here I am getting nervous about taking more than 3 days off in a row because I don't want to come back to 500+ emails. They can travel between different countries in Europe without spending days driving or flying. Being able to walk around town with a beer is awesome. Public transportation in non-huge cities is also awesome. Bathroom stalls that actually go to the floor. I don't need to know what shoes the guy taking a shit next to me has on. Germany gets 4 weeks vacation starting out. I have to work for my German-based company in the US for 20 years before I can get equal vacation time. They refuse to negotiate. Edited for correction. Healthcare. Life-work balance. Walkable communities. Great train service. €1 espressos. What famous person didn't deserve all the hate that they got? Macaulay Culkin. For Redditors old enough to remember, the young Home Alone star got a bunch of hate for being a spoiled brat when he sued to divorce his parents. Truth of the matter is his father was a physically abusive asshole, and his parents were going to take the $15 to $20 million he earned from acting and leave Macaulay with nothing. Salieri. Pretty chill dude. Mozart's biggest supporter. Lent him his librettistas so he could write Figaro. Took care of Mozart's kid after he passed away. Ignaz Philipp Semmelweis. He was a Hungarian physician and scientist, described as the savior of mothers. He proposed the practice of washing hands with chlorinated lime solutions in 1847 while working in Vienna General Hospital's first obstetrical clinic, where doctors' wards had 3 times the mortality of midwives' wards. Some doctors were offended at the suggestion that they should wash their hands and mocked him for it. In 1865 he allegedly suffered a nervous breakdown and was committed to an asylum by his colleagues. In the asylum he was beaten by the guards. He died 14 days later from a gangrenous wound on his right hand that may have been caused by the beating. His findings earned widespread acceptance only years after his death, when Louis Pasteur confirmed the germ theory. Natasha Kampusch. She was kidnapped in Vienna/Austria on her way to school when she was 10 years old and held captive in a secret bunker for 8 years. She managed to escape and her abuser killed himself the same day. Sadly, the public seems to hate her because she refused to talk publicly about the details of her sexual abuse. Edit: she was 10 when kidnapped and escaped after 8 years. Thanks for the correction. Lindsay Lohan overworked and pimped out by her parents. Tara Reid. She did not drive drunk. She did not kill anybody with her car. She did not get arrested. She partied a lot and her boob fell out. That's it. Also, if memory serves, she was treated horribly by Carson Daly. A dingo ate me baby. Parents of Azaria were ridiculed and hounded by the press and the grieving mother's statement became a pop culture reference. They were accused of murdering their child. Many years later it was finally proven that a dingo had, in fact, eaten their baby. Edgar Allan Poe. Everyone hates him for marrying his underage cousin, but they never look into it. He only married her because she was betrothed to an old obese man that she didn't want to marry. He never touched her as a husband touches a wife, and they slept in completely different rooms. Edit: okay, after reading some comments, I decided to look into it once again, and the few sources I had read about years ago have now been proven wrong. I found this out today, so I've been carrying a falsehood for years. I ask for forgiveness from everybody, as Edgar Allan Poe did just marry his underage cousin just for the sake of marrying her. Or more accurately, their relationship is debated but leans more on the side of him doing the latter. Oedipus. He didn't know it was his mother until after he had slept with her. Then he blinded himself because he was so disgusted by what had done. But thanks to Freud, everyone associates him with wanting to bone your mother. Not fair, I always felt bad for him. All the child stars that went off the rails. They didn't ask for fame. The guy who played Kid Anakin. He was bullied so hard that it ruined all the love he had for Star Wars. Rob Pilatus and Fab Morvan. They weren't told until after they had already signed the contracts and spent an advance from the record label on new clothes and hair extensions for their promo shoots that they wouldn't be singing on the album. They couldn't afford to pay back the advance, so they said they would stick with the label until they made enough money to pay them back. When the lip sync scandal went down, they got all the blame for it. Y'all probably too young to remember when Keanu Reeves was a late-night punchline for years. In the 90s every reference to the man was about how stupid he seemed. Corey Feldman over his comments about childhood sexual abuse in Hollywood. Barbara Walters treated him like shit and basically told the world he was a liar. Hayden Christensen, who played Anakin and the child actor of Anakin. They both got so much hate and I still don't get why.